Right now at 6, a new Oklahoma law bans cell phones during school hours.
And we've got some patchy fog out there for some of us, clouds clearing and temperatures rising. Details coming up.
Plus, Coffeyville, Kansas mourns the death of 15-year-old Serafina O'Connell.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News at 6 a.m. I'm Elise Snowe.
I'm Chris Warner. It is now Wednesday, October the 1st. Happy Wednesday. Happy October.
Happy October.
That cell phone story is, I know we'll dive a little deeper into it, but one of the things I've heard too from different schools that have already been doing this, and I think it's in this story too, so like the number of fights and incidents drop because you're doing it for TikTok. You're doing it for the viral stuff.
Kind of an instigator. A little
right, like you've got your phone with you. You're going to film it. You know people are going to film it. You could go viral for this wild fight. Because when I was in middle school, yeah, there were issues in middle school, high school, but we weren't fighting nearly as much as it seems kids are now. I mean, it's all because they can go. Sure. They think they can go viral. So I'm all for this thing. But that's side note. Now, on to the October forecast, which it feels more like early September forecast. We're going to start with that live look outside downtown Pittsburgh. And as you can see, no fights in the street, certainly a good thing. But otherwise, it looks good. We actually are even cooler this morning than what the expectation was, which is not a bad thing. In fact, this is one of our coolest mornings this week, and it was expected to be the beginning of those warmer nights, at least milder nights. MoDOT camera, 20th and range line. I think it's frozen, but it was looking good. It's either that or these folks don't know exactly what that color is for, but I'd be willing to bet it's frozen. We do have fog primarily in the southern portion of our region, especially again around the Grand Lake area. Grove down to 3 miles of visibility, Anderson down about 4.5. Had some pretty dense fog east of Bentonville, east of I-49, into parts of southern Berry and McDonald counties. So again, low beams out your high beams, fog lights up if you've got them, and slow down out there. Make sure you get time to get where you're going. Now, once the fog burns off, we're going to be looking pretty darn good. Clouds will begin to decrease across the area. So depending on where you are, you may clear out before other folks do. But eventually, all of us will have clear skies by late this evening into the overnight hours. And we'll have a southerly breeze as well, which helps bring in the warmer temperatures. But take a look at these numbers. Parsons is at 54. Right now is the cool spot. We've got, 61 in Cassville. That's the warmest temperature we have. We were expecting low to mid 60s this morning. That is not what happened. These, in fact, for some locations here around the low to mid 50s, that's about where we should be for this time of year. This is the closest to normal we've had in a while. Most of us, though, upper 50s to about 60, but still cooler than what was expected. So a nice crisp start to the day on what's going to be a much warmer day. Certainly not a bad thing at all. Kids heading out the door, upper 50s, about 60, some patchy fog. Low 80s by lunch and recess, mid 80s as they head home. That's where our highs are headed. We'll eventually make the upper 60s near 70 by 9. We'll go 81 by noon. And again, mid 80s for our highs with those skies continuing to clear through the afternoon. And that southerly breeze at 5 to 10, bringing in warm air. These temperatures, unfortunately, will continue to climb. And that will honestly increase the likelihood of our lows falling back in the low to mid 60s as our daytime highs climb. We'll tell you just how hot it's going to get and when we might get some relief from all this crazy weather here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, Coffeyville, Kansas is mourning the death of a teenager, a victim in a crash involving a high-speed chase. It's a follow-up to a crash that occurred last Friday afternoon in Coffeyville at the intersection of East 8th Street and Patterson Boulevard. Authorities now say 15-year-old Serafina O'Connell has died at the hospital from injuries suffered in that crash. Investigators say the crash occurred as police were chasing a northbound Jeep. The chase began in Oklahoma before crossing into Kansas. The Jeep failed to yield at a stoplight and crashed into an SUV, causing both vehicles to overturn. O'Connell was a passenger in that second vehicle. Authorities in Kansas yesterday charged the Jeep driver, Janisha Mayberry, with murder in the first degree and the commission of a felony. Oklahoma charges against Mayberry include assault and battery on a police officer, endangering others while eluding police, and larceny from a retailer. The passenger in the Jeep, Cortez Wasson Jr., is charged with larceny of merchandise from a retailer and obstructing an officer in Oklahoma. He's facing drug-related charges in Kansas. You can find more on this case on our website, KOAMNewsNow.com. Well, 4-state teens get answers to their biggest college questions. The Joplin Public Library hosted Adulting 101 college admissions. Last night's program gave young people a chance to ask big questions and get expert guidance on their college journey. Missouri Southern's admissions counselor helped teens navigate the college enrollment process, essay writing, financial aid options, and choosing a major. Well, all Oklahoma schools have moved to a bell-to-bell, no cell phone policy. Now, this means no phones at lunch, no phones between classes either. KOAM's Ty Parks takes us to Miami to see how the students are doing without the distraction.
With that sound, all phones in Oklahoma schools must be turned off and stored in a bag. The new state law requires all cell phones to be put away from the time of the first bell to the end of the school day. This is a policy that Miami Schools was considering.
In our junior high, we hadn't allowed students to have their cell phones at all. But then once they became sophomores, we had allowed them to start having them at lunch and in between passing periods. So we had talked about the possibility of just, let's not give them back.
Without the distraction of cell phones, there has been some changes in how students interact.
In class, I think we're seeing a lot less distractions, more focused learning on academics, which is a good thing. They still are one-to-one with Chromebooks, so they have the technology that they need. I know at one point that was kind of the argument for having cell phones, is that connection to technology.
One notable change is there is less drama.
From the discipline side, some of those pieces are people texting things to each other, and you can't see emotion with a text. And so we're having more face-to-face conversations, people engaging with each other a little bit better.
They're starting to relearn body language and context clues all over again.
I think this has allowed kids to be kids again. They're talking to one another, they're engaging in ways that they haven't in a long time. Actually, when you go into the lunchroom, they're actually having conversations, and that's what we want. We want kids to be able to communicate and to be able to make connections outside of technology.
In Miami, Ty Parks, KOAM News.
Now, in the event of an emergency, the law does allow for the schools to give an announcement allowing students to use their phones to contact their parents. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather coming up on the KOAM Morning News.
Federal government has officially shut down after lawmakers failed to reach agreement on a national spending plan. I'm Naomi Ruckham with a closer look at the impact on federal employees and everyday Americans.
Plus, warm and sunny conditions in the 4 states. Chris returns with another look at your Wednesday forecast. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. Time now 6:08. We'll be right back, but first, here's a live look from Myers Park in Pineville, Missouri. Well, topping Nation Watch, the federal government shut down. Republicans and Democrats are blaming each other after multiple votes to keep the government funded past midnight failed in the Senate yesterday. Democrats are calling for a deal on health care provisions, which they say cannot wait. Top Republicans say they won't negotiate until the government reopens. Lawmakers are due back on Capitol Hill today for more possible votes. Meanwhile, thousands of federal workers are now expected to go without pay as President Trump threatens more layoffs. CBS News' Naomi Ruckham has more on that and what it means for you from New York.
Today, tens of thousands of federal workers will be notified to stay home, furloughed without pay. Thousands of essential employees like military troops and air traffic controllers will report for duty, also without pay.
The bill, upon reconsideration, is not passed.
This comes after multiple proposals to keep the government funded past midnight failed in the U.S. Senate.
This is unnecessary, avoidable.
Senate Republicans pushed for the Clean House passed bill that extends funding into next month. Senate Democrats want a bill that also extends federal health care subsidies and protects Medicaid.
The bottom line is we need to stop these premiums from going up dramatically. We need to do it now.
President Trump now threatens mass layoffs and federal cuts directed at Democrats.
We'd be laying off a lot of people that are going to be very affected, and they're Democrats. They're going to be Democrats. We can get rid of a lot of things that we didn't want, and they'd be Democrat things.
The top House Democrat, Hakeem Jeffries, responded on CNN.
He will be held back by the courts if he takes this aggressive action, which violates the law.
For now, federal workers are bracing for impact.
I am the primary breadwinner of my household, so we will be tightening belts.
Americans will continue to receive Social Security and passports, though the TSA warns travelers to expect delays. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News.
Well, two Democrat senators, John Fetterman and Catherine Cortez Masto, supported the House passed bill in yesterday's Senate vote, as did Maine Independent Angus King. Republican Rand Paul joined the Democrats in voting against it. Members of Congress and the president will continue to receive their paychecks during the last shutdown. The last shutdown back in 2018 lasted longer than a month. Well, still to come, future entrepreneurs get to show off their business skills at this year's Lemonade Day. Plus, warm and sunny conditions. Chris returns with another look at your forecast. Good morning. I'm Elise Snowy with your KOAM News update. Murder charges are filed against a woman whose high-speed flight from police killed an innocent teenager in Coffeyville. Tanisha Mayberry now faces first-degree murder charges after her Jeep ran a red light and crashed into an SUV, killing 15-year-old passenger Serafina O'Connell. The chase began in Oklahoma before turning fatal in Kansas. Well, the federal government shuts down as lawmakers failed to reach a funding agreement before the midnight deadline. Thousands of federal workers now face uncertainty. Some will work without pay, while others are furloughed indefinitely. Critical services like public safety and Social Security payments continue, but the shutdown's impact spreads across government agencies.
And we'll have partly cloudy skies for some of us as our skies continue to clear into the afternoon and evening. Highs much warmer as we're crawling into the mid 80s out there with a south breeze 5 to 10 miles an hour. Clear skies through the evening, expecting low to mid 60s overnight tonight with those clear skies and calm winds, which could lead to some isolated fog tomorrow morning. Temperatures really climbing, upper 80s heading into the weekend. Wouldn't be surprised to see a 90-degree reading or two, keeping our lows very mild as well. Still watching that system next week that should bring us some cooler temperatures and at least some isolated rain chances.
Young entrepreneurs in Girard sold lemonade yesterday at the Girard Farmers Market. It was the finale of a program put on by the K-State Research and Extension's Wildcat District. KOAM's Kenny Foreman shows us how the kids turned lemons and a small bank loan into a successful learning experience.
It's Lemonade Day in Girard, Kansas. Over the course of the past month, 13 students from 4th through 6th grade received weekly lessons in entrepreneurship and are putting their skills to the test.
We have pretty much let the kids design their own businesses. We've gave them some ideas, but pretty much everybody out here tonight has developed their own business plan, their own stands, and different stuff they want to sell through their stands to make money.
With the help of their parents, the kids were able to build their own lemonade stands and add their own input. Girard resident Doug Graham enjoyed watching his daughter Ellie get creative.
She also really got excited about putting her little magical twist on it. So for her, she has come up with as her kind of her gimmick or thing that sets her apart. She has a color-changing potion and magic wand. So you can get your normal lemonade for $1, or if you pay another 75 cents, you get a little magic color-changing kit.
Bringing each lemonade stand to life did not happen overnight. Through a partnership with GN Bank, each entrepreneur took out a loan of $25 to fund their stand with the expectation that they would pay it back. For Wildcat District Agent Julie Beeman, not only is it a learning experience for the kids, it's rewarding to see the community come together.
This is exciting to see the younger kids get engaged and will hopefully help build that program and help with economic development in the community in the future. So it's just really exciting to see how this community will support kids at this age and then continue to support them as they grow up.
In Girard, Kenny Foreman, KOAM News.
K-State hosts a youth entrepreneurship challenge at the high school level each year. Beeman hopes to see the kids participate in the future. Let's take it over now to Chris for a quick look at your forecast.
Yeah, and honestly, a nice cold glass of lemonade today, also not a bad idea as our temperatures begin to climb out there. Do have some patchy fog, at least for some of us this morning. We'll go over those details and tell you just how hot it's going to get in the next few days when the KOAM Morning News returns. Time now is 6:18. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 6:21 on this Wednesday morning. Let's not go back in time. Let's keep moving forward. Do have some patchy fog out there. Most of it's, again, been confined in the southern portion of our area, especially, of course, around the Grand Lake area and then the eastern Benton County. So 3 miles of visibility in Grove. That's the lowest we've got right now, but at least on the tracker. But you can see there's denser fog out here east of Bentonville or northeast of Bentonville. So slow down. Low beams, not your high beams. Fog lights if you've got them. And be prepared, especially as you head south. You get a lot of those dips and valleys and things. You want to make sure you're watching out for the potential for rapidly changing visibilities. Once that goes away, clouds will start to go away. Some of you may clear out a little earlier than others, but eventually we will all have clear skies by late evening into the overnight hours. That will continue into our Thursday. So we'll start Thursday morning with those clear skies out there, and we'll continue through the day with plentiful sunshine. Future Track thinks there might be a shower or two tomorrow. Honestly, that's just one thing picking up on that possibility, but right now I'm going to say that possibility is pretty much nil at this point. But it did show it, and we'll see what happens. But we're not looking at any opportunities for rain for the next several days. We go into Friday, and if you thought it was going to be sunny again, you would be correct, because that's exactly how it's going to be. We'll have southerly winds, could be a bit gusty at times, but we'll hold on to clear skies and very warm temperatures. But we're talking 10 to 15 degrees above average out there as we go through the next few days. So that patchy fog, again, could hold on through about 9 o'clock this morning for some of us. We'll go start in the low 60s, upper 70s by 11. Our morning temperatures, at least today, not too dissimilar from the last couple of days. It's the afternoon. As we start to clear out, we're going to start to see temperatures climb. We're looking about the mid-80s out there. Some of you might go into the upper 80s if you get a little more sunshine a little earlier. But either way, you paint it above normal with that south breeze at around 5 to 10 miles an hour. Now, our lows tonight, and this is an interesting thing that we'll watch, okay? We'll have clear skies out there. We're expecting low to mid 60s, but all the data suggested low to mid 60s to start today from last night into this morning. We didn't make it there. At most, I think our warmest was 61 so far. Everybody else has been cooler. In fact, Parsons and Neoda Shade dropped down the coolest at 54, which actually puts you at normal. In fact, this morning, for many locations, this is a cooler morning than the last several mornings we've had. So a little bit of the opposite. So we'll see how tonight's lows go. But we're expecting low to mid 60s, and I'm going to tell you that trend is expected to continue, and the chances of that actually really happening will go up because our temperatures are going to climb. So with our daytime highs getting hotter, it's going to keep us a little milder overnight. We've got upper 80s heading into the start of this weekend. I would not be surprised if we have a couple of 90-degree readings out there. It wouldn't be out of the question. So we're talking very unseasonable temperatures. Dry, sunny skies all the way through the start of next week. We do see our temperatures drop back down the upper 70s to about 80, still above average, but at least not close to 90 like what we're going to see the next few days. And we still have that system. Those rain chances are still really low. We really need them to go up a bit because we do need some rain, but at least we've got some rain on the horizon next week, some isolated storm chances, and it's looking, once we go really long range, that sometime, not next week, but the week after, we should start to see temperatures hopefully begin to return to normal into the mid-70s. That's a check of your forecast. We're going to send it over to Elise now with Health Watch.
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, children who catch COVID-19 for a second time have a much higher risk of developing long COVID. A Children's Hospital of Chicago study found during a child's second COVID infection, they're also much more likely to experience blood clots, damaged kidneys, abnormal heartbeats, and fatigue. Doctors say the results highlight how important it is for parents and kids to get the COVID vaccine. And income inequality can affect the mental health of children and maybe even alter the chemistry of their brains. A King's College study of 9 and 10-year-olds found the experiences of living in an unequal society can amplify anxiety and lead children to compare their lives to others. Researchers say this disrupts the levels of cortisol in the brain, which can lead to poor mental health. And people who aren't getting enough sleep may find their brains age faster than others. UK researchers found people with poor sleep quality had brains that were 1 year older than their actual age. Poor sleep can mean not getting enough sleep, suffering from insomnia, snoring, or daytime sleepiness. Low sleep quality has also been linked to dementia. Well, it's important to clean and disinfect your home to prevent the spread of germs, but some cleaning products can be hazardous to your health if they're used improperly. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has more on the dangers and how to safely disinfect your house.
Washing hands and highly touched surfaces are two keys to keeping viruses and other illnesses from spreading. But some of the cleaning supplies in your home can be dangerous if used the wrong way.
The nonprofit Environmental Working Group found that more than 2,000 cleaning products in the United States might contain chemicals linked to asthma, cancer, and chemical burns.
The CDC says in most situations, cleaning alone with soap and water can remove most germs on surfaces. However, if someone in your home has been sick or a person who recently visited had an illness, the agency says properly diluted bleach can effectively kill germs. But take these steps for safety. Use regular, unscented household bleach that contains between 5 to 9% sodium hypochlorite. If it's laundry or splashless bleach, it may not be appropriate for disinfection, so make sure it's in that percentage range. Never mix household bleach or any other disinfectant with other cleaners or disinfectants. This can release vapors that can be dangerous to breathe in. Make sure you have good ventilation, for example, open windows. Check the label to see if you need to wear protective equipment like gloves or eye protection, and follow directions on the bottle to prepare a diluted bleach solution. You can also check if your other cleaners are safe.
Next time you need to replace something, spend a minute looking for this, the EPA's Safer Choice label, or checking their online database.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Dr. Sanjay Gupta says there are also natural cleaners like vinegar, baking soda, and lemon juice that can be used as well. He says regular vacuuming is also important to remove toxic chemicals that can build up in dust. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. We'll be right back. Right now at 6:30, 6 Missouri counties, including Newton, sue the state tax commission, claiming it's exceeded its authority on property assessments.
And we've got some patchy fog for some folks out there. All of us warming up and clearing out today. Look at your forecast coming up.
Plus, auto repair shops report rising costs for quality parts due to tariffs.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6:31. I'm Elise Noe.
I'm Chris Warner. It is now Wednesday, October the 1st. And I know it's a little confusing out there for the body to go, really? It's October? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Doesn't really feel like it.
Not at all.
Not in the slightest, man. It hasn't felt like October. It hadn't felt like the end of September either, but believe it or not, we were cooler yesterday than we will be today. However, our overnight lows dipped a bit cooler than we were expecting as well. We're going to start, though, with a live look downtown Pittsburgh. Things are looking okay so far this morning. Same from our camera at 7th and Rangeline in Joplin and the MoDOT camera at 20th and Rangeline. See, it was frozen, and it's not now because all of these folks are moving. And again, as long as the traffic's moving, it's always a good sign. You don't want it when it's stopped and backed up for miles. That's not good at all. We do, again, have some patchy fog, primarily in the southern portions of our area, and of course, especially around the Grand Lake area. So parts of Ottawa, Delaware, southwestern Newton, western McDonald counties, we've got reduced visibilities. And then just outside of Bentonville to the northeast here, some pretty dense fog out there as well. So remember, especially as you're heading south, low beams, not your high beams, fog lights if you've got them. And of course, with all the hilly terrain down there, you really get into the Ozark Mountains the further south you go. You want to make sure that you're prepared for rapidly changing visibilities as well, because you get into some of those dips and valleys, and that fog can thicken up pretty quickly on you. Now, once the fog is gone, skies will begin to gradually clear across the area for all of us. So some of you may go clear skies before others do, but eventually all of us will have clear skies as we head into the late evening and overnight hours, and that is going to be step one in heading toward warmer temperatures because we get more sunshine. Now, last night into this morning, we were expecting lows in the low to mid 60s. The closest we've had was, now it's 62. Nevada is the warm spot at 62. We've got Parsons at 54, most of us in the upper 50s. So we got a little cooler last night than what we were expecting. Again, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but we will be warmer as we head into the afternoons. Patchy fog out there, kids heading out the door, upper 50s, low 80s by lunch and recess, mid 80s as they head home to where our highs are headed. We'll go upper 60s by 9, about 81 by noon, mid 80s for those highs, and again, that south wind around 5 to 10 miles an hour. These temperatures, though, will continue to climb over the next several days. We'll go over those details with you and tell you about next week's rain chances here in just a few more minutes. Elise.
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, Newton County joins 5 other counties in a legal battle against the Missouri State Tax Commission. This comes after the commission began withholding hundreds of thousands of dollars from counties refusing to comply with its request to raise property values by 10 to 15%. The commission says Newton County and dozens of other counties assess property below market value, violating state law. And when a handful of counties refused to comply, the commission withheld assessment maintenance funds. The lawsuit claims the commission's actions are outside of their authority. The counties want the court to block the commission from enforcing the changes and withholding state funds. You can read the full lawsuit on our website. That's, of course, KOAMnewsnow.com. Auto repair shops across the region report rising costs for quality parts due to tariffs. Shop owners say they're seeing more counterfeit and low-quality parts that could damage vehicles. As of May 3rd, vehicle parts face reciprocal duties under U.S. Customs and Border Protection rules. Parts from Germany and Japan now carry a 37.5% tariff rate, while South Korean parts face 27.5%. You can find more details on KOAMnewsnow.com. And the federal government has shut down, and while essential services like the military will continue, thousands of federal workers could be furloughed. KOAM's Blake Gully shows us how the shutdown will now impact the 4 states.
If Congress fails to reach a deal by midnight, many federally funded programs in the 4 states will continue for now. Essential employees like TSA agents and air traffic controllers will still be required to work. Programs like SNAP and WIC will remain funded temporarily, but uncertainty grows as the shutdown deadline approaches. Here at the George Washington Carver National Monument, a government shutdown could close the gates. Without a passed budget, most national park staff are furloughed, leaving parks like this one without people to keep it open.
This shutdown will be really extremely difficult for me personally, as well as I think the U.S. citizens, because these are, for the most part, free for most people to come into. And, you know, we take away that access to information and about our history and culture. And I think that's extremely saddening to me, because we must know our history.
Missouri Congressman Eric Burleson places the blame on Democrats. In a statement, he said most Missourians will not experience a significant impact from a government shutdown. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and essential public safety services will continue. House Republicans passed a clean continuing resolution to keep the government open, but Democrats are blocking it while demanding $1.5 trillion in new spending. Democrats, meanwhile, argue the funding is necessary to extend health care programs and protect essential services. Reporting in Joplin, Blake Gully, KOAM News.
Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid are still distributed during shutdowns, but there could be some slowdowns. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Coffee prices jumped more than $2.50 a pound compared to last year. We'll have the latest. Time now, 6:37. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back, but first, here's a live look from Myers Park in Pineville, Missouri. Well, in Consumer Watch, trouble may be brewing for what many of us consider a necessity. The price of a pound of coffee has jumped more than $2.50 compared to last year, and President Trump's tariffs are partly to blame. In April, most countries were hit with a 10% tariff in addition to another hike recently. Brazil now has a 50% tax. That's where coffee chain Gregory's sources many of its beans. The company says its next shipment from Brazil will carry that extra charge. And though the company's paper products are now made in the USA, there's nothing it can do about the actual coffee.
If prices go up a few pennies, 4 or 5 cents across the board, we're hoping that that doesn't necessarily turn off our everyday customers to say like all of a sudden this feels completely out of whack with what I was expecting to pay. We would only be doing these things if it's a real economic impact or squeeze that we're feeling. It's definitely not something we love to do or feel comfortable doing, but to protect the business and protect our team, it's just a necessity right now, unfortunately.
Another issue hitting coffee makers, bad weather in Brazil and Vietnam has hampered production. Starbucks said during a recent earnings call, customers shouldn't expect price increases until the first half of 2026. But the brand behind Folgers, Coffee Bustelo, and Dunkin' at Home Products said earlier this summer it will likely hike prices for the third time this year. And the Federal Trade Commission has filed an antitrust lawsuit against digital real estate firms Zillow and Redfin. Regulators accuse Zillow of paying millions to Redfin to discourage competition in the ad market for multifamily properties, saying it harms consumers and property managers. In a statement, Redfin says it strongly disagrees with the allegations, while Zillow argues that the partnership is pro-competitive. And meet Dot, DoorDash's new delivery bot. The company has unveiled its new fleet of delivery robots in Arizona. Now, they're capable of navigating bike lanes, roads, and sidewalks, reaching speeds up to 20 miles per hour while carrying up to 30 pounds of merchandise. The company says Dot can help merchants and consumers with quick delivery of smaller sized goods, which helps DoorDashers focus on higher value orders. And now that the government has shut down as of midnight, the impact will be felt at airports across the country. More than 58,000 TSA employees and 13,000 air traffic controllers will now be working without pay. Chris Van Cleef is at Denver's airport with more on what flyers can expect.
We don't expect major disruptions tomorrow or the rest of this week if people show up at an airport like here in Denver. But if this shutdown is measured in weeks, not days, or stretches even longer than that, that's when we need to prepare for the potential of disruptions and delays. And I'm basing that off what we saw play out back in 2018 when we had a 35-day shutdown starting in December. As soon as that first missed paycheck, so think about 2 weeks in, we started to see sick calls from TSA officers really increase at airports across the country. That led to longer lines at checkpoints, so it took people longer to get through security. Some checkpoints had to be closed, and in one case in Miami, they even had to close an entire terminal because there weren't enough TSA officers to staff it. Now, TSA officers are not high-paid government workers, so missing a paycheck can have a profound impact. Air traffic controllers would also work without pay, and in January of 2019, air traffic control sick calls resulted in significant flight disruptions in the New York City area shortly before the shutdown ended. There is a shortage of air traffic controllers. During a shutdown, hiring and training of new hires generally stops. That would slow efforts to get more controllers on the job quickly. Amtrak should operate normally because while it receives federal funds, it is operated as an independent entity. Travelers heading to national parks, they're likely to be in for a disappointment. Most national parks will close to the public during a shutdown. The U.S. Travel Association estimates the cost of a government shutdown to the U.S. travel economy to be around $1 billion a week. Chris Van Cleef, CBS News, Denver.
Now, the longer a government shutdown lasts, the greater the risk of flight delays, staff shortages, and closed national parks, with the U.S. travel economy losing up to $1 billion each week. That's a look at Consumer Watch. Let's take it over now to Chris for a quick look at your forecast.
Yeah, as we said, we'd have those mostly cloudy skies to start the day, but leading to a pretty nice looking sunrise from downtown Pittsburgh. Skies will clear as we go through the morning into the afternoon, and temperatures will rise. We'll go over those details with you when we might see some rain chances when the KOAM Morning News returns. Time now, 6:44. We'll also celebrate birthdays and anniversaries right after this. All right, it is time now for some Wednesday birthdays in the 4 states, and we are going to begin with Easton Huffam in Carl Junction celebrating birthday number 5. Happy birthday.
And a happy 26th birthday to Frank Miller in Fort Scott.
And then we'll head a little west to Chanute for B. Hubler celebrating birthday number 63. A very happy birthday to you.
And in Pittsburgh, a happy 20th anniversary to Ryan and Megan Soderman.
And another anniversary, Don and Helen George in Walnut celebrating their 70th anniversary. Look at that. They've barely changed at all. I love that throwback photo there. Very happy anniversary to the Georges.
And continuing our list with a happy birthday to Nathan Powers, turning 67.
All right, another great list of birthdays and anniversaries. Although the last couple have been somewhat short, if you would like to help this list become a little longer, Elise has some information for you.
Yes, please submit your birthdays and your anniversaries to birthdays@koamnewsnow.com. Be sure to include those wonderful messages and photos to also meet the deadline at the bottom of your screen.
Absolutely. And take a look at this. The sunrise, those mostly cloudy skies this morning, looks really cool. It's really lighting up the bottoms of those clouds. Looks quite nice from downtown Pittsburgh. And from our camera at 7th and Rangeline in Joplin, looks great as well. Very nice start to the day for many of us as well. MoDOT camera 20th and Rangeline. Looking back to the north, so at least for right now, it sees no sunrise, but it does see the traffic, and of course, it's starting to pick up as people start their Wednesday morning commute. Do have some dense fog down in our southern counties, so we've got Grove and, of course, the Grand Lake area, about 3 miles of visibility, so that's Delaware, parts of Ottawa, Newton, McDonald counties. Some dense fog northeast of Bentonville as well. Now we're starting to get some denser fog into Washington County around the Bartlesville area, which is stretching into southern portions of Chautauqua County as well. So just a heads up out there. Remember, low beams, not your high beams. Fog lights if you've got them. I did watch out, of course, for the rapidly changing visibilities because that can happen. The fog tracker is relying on point data, and there could be denser fog in between here and there. And, of course, with all the dips and valleys, especially down south, you could run into unexpected dense fog as well. All right, once that burns off, though, our day today looks fantastic if this was September the 1st and not October the 1st. We're looking at clearing skies. So we have the clouds now. They'll continue to clear through the afternoon. Some of you may clear earlier than others, but eventually by the late evening hours and overnight, we will have nothing but clear skies, and that will continue throughout the day on our Thursday. Excuse me, just continuing with clear skies across the region. I know Future Track is showing these showers. Just ignore that. There's one piece of data that thinks there might be a shower. It's not going to happen. We'll be dry, and we will be clear, and we will be even warmer tomorrow, and the temperatures continue to stay very warm, almost hot, really, especially for this time of year. As we head into our Friday, could have some gusty south winds, and otherwise, for the most part, looking at sunny skies, and just, again, another very warm day. So here's what we've got. Fog could continue through about 9 o'clock this morning, and it should start to burn off. These temperatures, at least today, are pretty similar to yesterday, even the day before. Low 60s to start, upper 70s by 11 a.m., but we're going to probably see these numbers go up a bit as we head into tomorrow, because, again, we're going to be even warmer tomorrow. We're going to go mid-80s out there as we head into the afternoon, and again, we'll have those clearing skies, south winds at about 5 to 10 miles an hour, and we'll have clear skies again once we get into the late evening hours, still pretty mild, near 70 by 10. Now, again, last night into this morning, we were expecting low to mid 60s, but that didn't pan out. Right now, I think it was Nevada is the warmest at 62. Parsons is at 54, which that's actually about right where we should be for this time of year. So we actually got a little cooler than what we were expecting. So we'll see. That's still a possibility, I'd say, tonight. We might be a little cooler than that, but our temperatures, as our daytime highs go up, obviously we don't do as much cooling as we head into the evening and overnight, and so low to mid 60s are going to be a bit more likely, especially over the next several days. Look at these numbers. I know we don't want to, but you got to. You got to know what to prepare for because there's a lot of fall events going on. There's the different pumpkin patches and corn mazes and festivals and all this stuff and spook houses and all these things that, you know, traditionally, as you're heading out for them, it's a bit cooler. Not going to be that way. We've got upper 80s. Would not be surprised to see a 90-degree reading or two over the next few days. Now, as we go into next week, our temperatures drop back down into the upper 70s to near 80, so still above normal, but at least a little better. And we're still watching that system next week. Those rain chances are still pretty low, but at least they're there with some isolated storms. And we're still looking, not next week, but perhaps the week after, eventually starting to return to near normal temperatures. Let's check your forecast. We'll have another look at your forecast and your wake-up recap in just a moment. And when we switch over to Fox 14 at 7 a.m., or of course, if you're streaming with us here on KOAM Plus, don't do anything. We're going to tell you about this. Less screen time, meaning more FaceTime. And we're not talking about the app. For Oklahoma students, a new state law requiring phones to stay locked away all day. Details on that and a whole lot more at 7 a.m.
This is your wake-up recap for October 1st. The top stories to start your day. Murder charges are filed against a woman whose high-speed flight from police killed an innocent teenager in Coffeyville, Kansas. Tanisha Mayberry now faces first-degree murder charges after her Jeep ran a red light and crashed into an SUV, killing 15-year-old passenger Serafina O'Connell. The chase began in Oklahoma before turning fatal in Kansas. The federal government shuts down as lawmakers fail to reach a funding agreement before the midnight deadline. Thousands of federal workers now face uncertainty. Some will work without pay while others are furloughed indefinitely. Critical services like public safety and Social Security payments continue, but the shutdown's impact spreads across government agencies. And that's a check of today's Wake Up Recap.
And again, we are going to warm up. We've got some patchy fog out there this morning that'll burn off, and then the clouds will also begin to clear out as we head into the afternoon and evening hours. Our highs a little warmer, mid-80s out there. South winds 5 to 10. Clear skies for the late evening hours and into the overnight, and we should be a little milder tonight, into the low to mid-60s with calm winds. And our temperatures continue to climb over the next few days. We're looking at upper 80s into the start of the weekend. And again, wouldn't be surprised if we had a couple of 90-degree readings out there either, which is just wild for October. We may not be at record levels, but that's not going to matter. It's going to be hot. Now, as we head into next week, our temperatures do drop a bit, still above normal, but at least a little lower into the upper 70s to right about 80. Still keeping an eye on that system next week with at least some slight isolated shower and thunderstorm chances.
All right, and coming up today at noon, we're making pink ribbon poke cake in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
As your morning news continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings, Jill Schleichinger explains what it means not only for federal workers, but for all Americans with the government shutdown.
We can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. This morning, all the info you need for the final Cars and Coffee event of 2025. You don't want to miss it.
Plus, a massive volunteer effort documents Smithsonian exhibits with thousands of photos. We'll have that and more, of course, at 7 a.m. So it's just a little under 3 minutes away. Yes. So make sure you join us. It's going to wrap it up for us for here, though, and we will be back tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
And we'll see you today at noon.